Good morning. It's time now for the House Whisperer Show, where every house has a story on WWDB Talk 860. Stay tuned for expert advice about maintaining your house from the roof to the basement and everything in between, featuring professional home inspector Jack Milne. And Jack, good morning. And boy, do you have a great guest on?
Well, thank you, Barry. Can you believe that July 4th was last weekend?
No. I can't.
I don't know where this summer's going, but wherever it's going too darn fast.
I know. Can we do anything to slow it down?
Well, I don't think there's much you can do. I mean, I think we're all busy, and when you're busy, the days just fly by. So, but I was taking this opportunity to sit back, on my deck, and I said, you know what? We should do a show on exterior lighting because it's one of those things that really adds drama, it adds effect, it adds a mood. And so when I was thinking of that, I thought of my buddy Glenn Ost. And Glenn is actually a repeat interviewee on WWDB. And so I wanted to bring the best person I know who knows lighting to share some of his thoughts with you. So before I kick in, though, I do want to thank my sponsors because without them I wouldn't be on the air today. So with Bucks Mountain Inspections, again, they do on-site sewage evaluations. Reach out to Rob Bowie. I'm going to give websites today because I think they're the most popular way of knowing who you're hiring. And it's really easy for them, folks. It's bucksmountainspections.com. Burrow Exterminating. I'm actually going to have Rob Bruno on the air next week talking about termites and chemicals and applications and things like that. So I can't wait to get Rob on the air. But his website, again, is burrowexterminating.com. Pest Blaster. You've heard Mike Cantor on this radio program in the past, and we always discuss things like radon, mold, wood-destroying insects, and pest removal. So again, websites pestblaster.com, brainfleshgear.com. In a couple of weeks, I'm going away, and I'm probably wearing one of the shirts that I helped design, and they helped put it together for me. So literally, brainfleshgear.com. And finally, Tri-County Inspection Company, the company I've owned since 1985, 72,000 clients we've handled over the past almost 30 years. And visit our website. I think it's chock full of information, which is tcinspect.com. If you're looking to buy, you're looking to sell, you're looking to invest, you want a church, a shopping center, anything inspected, we have top-rated inspectors that can help you through that process. So, as you know, my schedule, I usually jump into the email box, but I'm going to forgo that just because I do have Glenn on the air. But, of course, always email me because I'm going to jump into that email box in a couple of weeks again. And so let me give you the site. It's the House Whisperer Show at gmail.com. And any old previous shows, you can always go to thehousewhisperershow.com. And now this is, I finally heard a podcast the other day on my wife's phone because I still carry a flip phone. And that was really cool to hear the show again. And on podcast, it's available 24/7 at www.dbam.com. So let's kick this into gear. Exterior lighting. Is it a DIY project or is something you should maybe hire a professional? So, Glenn, are you with me?
Hi, Jack. Thanks for having me back.
Well, before we go full bore into the topic, why don't you tell our listeners how they can get in touch with you?
Hey, appreciate it, Jack. Company name is G.A. and you can reach me at 215-357-5259 or 610-346-8129. Email glennelectric22@gmail.com, and you can also find me on Angie's List, Jack.
Yeah, that Angie's List is something, dude. And I know we spent some time talking about, the pros and the cons of that. So it's a nice way and a nice resource, to find a qualified technician. So I reached out to Glenn a week or so ago, and again, I was thinking of that July 4th picnic, and my house is a home inspector's house. I mean, everything I try to do is to the nines, but I'm thinking of those folks who just spent good money either constructing a deck or, did a paver with maybe retaining walls, and said, they turned to their significant other and said, honey, we need to get some lights out here. So, the first thing, Glenn, I'd like to talk about is solar lighting, because I think this is something that any homeowner can go to one of the box stores and buy a kit, where you might get 6 of these, literally you shove them into the ground, in the direction of the sun, and you can add as many of these things as you want. But, Glenn, let me grab your opinion on those before they make this investment.
And just like you just said, Jack, they are dependent on the sun. So if you have 2, 3, even recently, it was just about a week without a lot of sun, if any sun, those products are dependent, obviously, on the sun being out. And they hold charge for the next day, for the next nighttime for them to come on. But they are real convenient. You can buy them singularly or in kits like you said, and the homeowner brings them home, sticks them in the ground, doesn't have to call an electrician to put them in along their sidewalk or driveway. But my personal opinion is they don't throw too much illumination. They're not too bright. So I usually guide my customers into stepping it up, which the homeowner can still do, a low voltage kit where there's a little more power and it will actually illuminate the sidewalk, driveway, or whatever, or walk path, much more than the solar. The solars are nice. You can don't have to call your electrician, just stick them in the ground and you're good to go. But I find that a lot of the times they don't illuminate. They're not very bright. And again, they're dependent on the sun being out.
With these low voltage lights, again, I would assume that they come with a transformer that are designed to handle so many light fixtures.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Jack. When you buy that kit, it's already figured and calculated out for you how many lights actually come for the transformer provided. And by the way, the transformer can have a timer in it or a photo cell, a dusk to dawn switch built into it. And all you do is plug in the transformer, which is meant to be out in the weather. Plug in the transformer, it reduces it to 12 to 24 volts, which can't hurt you. And by code, the wire you can lay right on the ground or right below it in the mulch. You don't have to dig deep as compared to a higher voltage installation. But as far as regarding the amount of lights per transformer, the kits are already figure that out and supply that when you open up the box. But if you're going to add more, the total number of wattage added up by all of the lights, whatever the wattage of the bulb is, 12 to 24 watts per lamp. You have to add up the total wattage of your lamps and make sure your transformer is large enough to supply the total amount of wattage that all your lights are drawing. They start at 60 watts, they go to 500 watts, and even larger, depending on how many lights you're going to use.
Glenn, for good, say, illumination of a brick walkway or flagstone walkway, how far apart would these lamps be placed? Should they be 2 feet apart, 3 feet apart, 4 feet apart?
Yeah, it's a good question, Jack. Actually, it's going to depend on the brightness of each light, 12 or 24 watts per lamp. That's going to determine, how far apart they go. And when you buy that kit again, it's already, in the instructions, it will tell you approximately the distance between each light.
So that's a good point, because before you spend your good hard-earned bucks, folks, you want to figure out how far you want your lighting to go.
Exactly. And if that kit doesn't provide, depending on the space intervals between, if that kit doesn't provide you with enough lights and you have to buy more lights to get to the end of your sidewalk, well, you might not be able to, because you're going to overload that transformer, and you might have to step up the size of the transformer.
So, get your tape measures out, folks, and again, figure out exactly how far you want to take this. So you only go to the store once. And I know a number of years ago when I was sealing my driveway, they always give you square footages, for example. I know we're talking lights. I hear Jack's talking driveways. But I got to do so many trips to the darn store. I said, the hell with it. I'm going to buy more than I need, and then I can take it back.
That's actually a good idea, because they will let you return things as long as you keep your receipt.
Yeah. So sometimes, you can lose an hour or an hour and a half into your project by going back to get more. So try to grab as much information as you can. If you have a curved walkway, keep in mind that that's going to take up more lighting than a straight walkway. And the other thing I try to keep in mind is, make sure that your lighting is on the inside of the walkways, usually where your landscaping beds are, because they're a pain in the neck if you have to cut your lawn. And,
they do get hit a lot. They get ruined by those powerful weed whackers, where the landscape guys are trying to get done multiple lawns per day.
I see that happen. But, gentlemen, we have to take a quick break. And we'll come back. We'll talk more. We've got Jack and we've got Glenn. We're talking about exterior lighting. Great topic. And we'll take this quick break and come back and talk some more.
Boro Exterminating has been specializing in wood-destroying insect inspection and control for over 40 years, serving Philadelphia and the surrounding counties. All inspectors are state certified and ensure providing their clients with professional inspections and treatments. Boro not only performs conventional termite treatments, but also handles special services like historic buildings and homes with wells, creeks, or ponds. The client is assured that all treatments will be performed safely when you hire Boro to do the work. They also provide radon testing in their service area. Boro's full-time office staff is available to help you schedule an appointment. Just call 610-586-5640 or send an email request to boroinspects@verizon.net. That's 610-586-5640 or email at boroinspects@verizon.net.
Specially created t-shirts by BrainFlushGear.com offer the extreme sports enthusiast an opportunity to have a clothing line available that suits their sport. BrainFlushGear.com understands that when we get the moment where we can jump on our motorcycles, wave runners, surfboards, snowmobiles, or skateboards, it can be priceless. They offer custom artwork including silk screening, transfers, and embroidery. Speak to one of their consultants today, and they'll help you create your own Brain Flush. Visit BrainFlushGear.com or email them at contact@BrainFlushGear.com.
For your septic inspection and testing needs, please consider Bucksmont Inspections. They've been serving the Bucks and Montgomery County areas for over 15 years. As members of the Pennsylvania Septic Management Association, the Pennsylvania Association of Sewage Enforcement Officers, and the Pennsylvania Association for Professional Soil Scientists, Bucksmont Inspections can inspect your existing septic system or test for your new septic system placement. Please call Rob Bowie at 215-669-4213 and say you heard their ad on the House Whisperers show.
As the temperatures gradually rise, so do the odds of all those filthy and unwanted critters invading your home, like rodents, roaches, termites, and flies. Oh my! This summer, if you want to feel safe and secure from a possible creeping, crawling disaster, do yourself a favor and call the exterminating experts at Pest Blaster for all your pest control needs, including tests for radon and mold. Please visit pestblaster.com and you'll be sold. 215-295-5555.
Tri-County Inspection Company has been providing professional home inspections, commercial inspections, and historic property evaluations for over 25 years. Tri-County Inspection Company covers 13 counties, serving both New Jersey and Pennsylvania. They've performed inspections for over 70,000 clients and are members of the American Society of Home Inspectors, as well as the Pennsylvania Home Inspectors Coalition. They are licensed in both Philadelphia and New Jersey. For all of your real estate transactions, call Tri-County Inspections at 215-295-2030. For their New Jersey clientele, call 856-853-4224. In PA, call 215-295-2030. In New Jersey, 856-853-4224.
Our house is a very, very, very fine house with 2 cats in.
And we're back with Jack Milne and Glenn Austin. And we're talking about a really terrific topic today, exterior lighting. And Jack always either talks about the product himself or brings in an expert. And we've got Jack and we've got Glenn, and both of you gentlemen are back on the air. More about exterior lighting.
Well, Barry, the first section we kind of talked about the DIY, what a homeowner can do if they want to add solar, but I think it's both of our opinions, solar may not be the way to go, but low voltage is a real true consideration. But let's say we got to start thinking about ladders and trenching and uplighting or downlighting, and all of a sudden you're looking at your significant other and say, you know what, honey, I can't do this. So now it's time to hire a professional. So, and Glenn's last name, by the way, Barry, is Aust, A-U-S-T. So all my listeners, I want to make sure you got that right. And Glenn, again, how can folks reach back out to you?
Great, Jack. They can reach me at 215-357-5259 or 610-346-8129. You can also send me an email at glennelectric22@gmail.com, and you can also find me on Angie's List, and my company name is G.A.Electric, my initials.
Well, there you go. So, Glenn, now you've gotten that phone call from John Q. Public, and you're asked to come out and evaluate. Let's say a patio. Where do you start?
Yeah, as we just discussed, Jack, a lot of times people do go out and buy those solar ones, spend the money on that. They find out they're really not bright enough and they're disappointed. Then they might go to the low voltage, and although they're a little brighter and a homeowner can still do it themselves, it's just not the power, it's just not the illumination that they want to throw on their house. And there's some beautiful homes out there. Just last week, I went out to a home in Washington's Crossing, and although they had older floodlighting, on the front of their beautiful stone house, what actually happened as 5-10 years went by, the vegetation grew in to a point where it simply blocked the floodlights from shining up and illuminating this magnificent house. And they were unaware of it because it grows in so slow as years go by. But if you want to really get more illumination and also be able to control it, when you go to 120-volt lighting, flood lighting, which is the same voltage, 120 volts, used for lighting and receptacles inside your house. When you go to that, you can also control it with a dimmer. So now you have a means of controlling the illumination. You might be sitting out on your back deck, and you really don't want your soffit lighting shining down on the back of your house to be as bright, because you're out there having a drink with your friends out there, and you want to be able to control it. Something you really can't do with solar and low voltage lighting.
When people look for dramatics, do they do uplighting or do they do more downlighting?
Actually, both will give you a really nice effect, but I also have installed many lights, like recess lighting, right in the front soffit of the light, so it washes down the front wall of their house, and it really gives the house a really nice look at night. It can also, again, like I said, be done with the floodlights and the lawn, on the front lawn. But keep in mind, when you go for this type of lighting, 120-volt lighting, the same as for your receptacles and lights, by code, now the power cable for it has to be buried a minimal of 18 inches below the ground. So you actually have to trench to get this wire in there because it is a higher voltage, and that's the code requirement, so nobody gets hurt. At that point, I do recommend you consult an electrician and have them come out and ask them their point of view. Keep in mind that trenching, there is a machine that does it, but many times with what people have going on at their homes today, they have a dog fence that it will easily cut. If you're going to trench for front lawn flood lighting, and also sprinkler systems are in these front lawns today of these new homes. So you have to be careful when trenching if you're going to go with a 120-volt system. But once you get it in, it is in, and it's more powerful. You have control of it, and it can give you whatever effect you're looking at doing. Low voltage can do it too, but not as much as 120-volt lighting.
Well, I think of trenching too. I know when we did our office building here, I mean, we had to probably trench, what was it, Glenn, about 150 feet, so we could get illumination to my company sign out by the street. But we ran into a scenario where we had to go under a portion of the driveway.
Absolutely, Jack, and that you run into a lot. In fact, some people have a light on each side of the end of their driveway near the street. They have pillars out there, but you have to get, obviously, a wire, a cable to the other side of the driveway. If it's a sidewalk, it's a lot easier to get under the sidewalk. You have to dig like an 18-inch hole on each side of the sidewalk, and then you can drive a pipe or a conduit under the sidewalk to create a path for the wire to go under. A driveway, obviously, is a lot wider, and you really can't get a wire under it. The driveway is going to have to be, or the asphalt's going to have to be sliced just wide enough, and also deep enough there also. I believe it's only 12 inches then if you're under the driveway. But then it's going to have to be patched, and a lot of people at that point aren't interested cutting their driveway to get wires across it, but you have to remind the customer, once it's in forever.
Well, I think, that type of lighting at the end of the driveway serves different benefits. For example, if you live out in the country, you can say, look for the two post lights. I'm at,
Very good.
803 West Trenton Avenue,
Right.
So it also makes it easy if you're backing out.
Absolutely, and that's another installation, a lamppost. That's a dying breed out there, but a lamppost not only illuminates the driveway, it illuminates the street, and it gives the home a nice welcoming effect.
Yeah, Glenn, I've always had a lamppost, and when we bought our house back in '87, there was not one present, but I wanted to make sure I had one because I live on a corner, and just some it's not even bright illumination, but just subtle enough that it lights up the corner.
Yes.
And I agree with you wholeheartedly about it's a warming effect. It says, come on in.
Absolutely, Jack. And a lot of times today, years ago, and more so in the city, you're going to have lampposts in the street that the city provides. As you get out to suburban area, more rural areas, they don't have those street lights. And you get out to the end of your driveway, and it's pitch black. So it's really nice to have a lamppost or any type of lighting, towards the street at the end of your driveway, and very helpful. Like you said, it's also good for security.
Mm-hmm. Well, since we have a few minutes, Glenn, let's talk about security. placement of, say, your floodlights or whatever they're making today. What's your take on that?
Well, there's basically 4 ways to control lighting outside. 120-volt lighting, a regular on-off switch. You can also do a motion sensor. You can do a photo cell, which turns the lights on and off, at night, dusk to dawn.
Like a dusk to dawn? Okay.
Yeah. And also, lastly, did I say a timer? Did I already say a timer,
nope.
Jack?
The timer's
and a timer.
Yeah.
And nothing's better for security than illuminating a backyard or any area rather than it being pitch black. Motion sensors are great because obviously if someone walks by, they automatically turn on the floodlights, and the intruder doesn't know if somebody in the house just turned on the lights or if it's a motion sensor, because as you look up at the lights at night, you can't tell. The lights are hitting you in the face. You can't tell whether it's a motion sensor. But for security, they are phenomenal, and there's no better deterrent for an intruder than illuminating your property.
I know we were talking about this the other night where, as a home inspector, what I advise my folks to do is if they want to put some high lighting up near the soffit, think of a window on the second floor. Because if you have to change the bulbs, most people are a little bit leery about getting on a ladder.
You're right. A lot of people are, Jack, and I do bring that up on the estimate. I try to get it near the window without it bleeding into the window because that can be irritating at night. People like it completely dark, and you don't want to shine the light into the room when you're trying to sleep at night. But it is nice not to have to get on an extension ladder and reach out a window and be able to change lamps that way.
Well, gentlemen, I'm going to have to put the red light on right now because we are out of time.
Uh-oh. I do want to thank Len also for coming on to the House Whisperer show, and of course if you have to find them, go to Angie's List or again call them at 215-357-5259. Just real quick, next week we're going to have Rob Bruno, one of our sponsors from Borough Exterminating, regarding the topic of wood-destroying insects, the chemicals and applications. So until next week, please spend time with friends and family, and I look forward to talking to you at that point.
All right, Glenn Austin, Jack Milne, always a pleasure, and don't forget to tune in next week to the House Whisperer Show with professional home inspector Jack Milne. You can listen to previous programs, or if you have any questions, visit thehousewhisperershow.com. I'm Barry Reisman on WWDB. Thank you so much for listening.
La, 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 la.